What is up, guys? It is your boy MaineMania, and welcome to my epilogue of my The Last of Us 2 series. I'm going to go ahead and try to make things as quick as possible so you guys can get right into the discussion. But first things first, you guys are going to hear me mention a review that I had planned on doing. This review did not happen due to unfortunate circumstances, so this discussion actually became my makeshift review. In addition to that, I try to speak in code at multiple points through this discussion because I had a lot of regulars that were in my chat that I didn't want to spoil things for. So I did try to be as spoiler friendly as possible so that I did not ruin the game for them, as they did plan on watching the series on my YouTube channel when they got the chance to. So when I am speaking in code, I did add captions on screen so that you guys will be able to follow along and it's very clear who I am talking about. Now, this discussion was born from a conversation I had with a very passionate The Last of Us fan, just as passionate about the series as I am, very passionate fan that basically told me as soon as they finished the game, they basically took out the disc and they sold their collector's edition Steelbook edition. And I was just in disbelief that a game could make you so mad that you sell your collector's edition version of it the second you stopped playing it, the second you completed the game. So that is where this discussion was born from. Wanted to go ahead and give you guys some of that context. In this, we're going to discuss the review bombing that happened. Everybody's saying that the game was trying to push this kind of agenda, that kind of agenda, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get into it. So with no further ado, here's my epilogue. I hope you guys enjoy. You were excited about The Last of Us 2, and look what happened. But The Last of Us is still your favorite game of all time. We haven't talked since I finished the game. I don't know if you're still watching my playthrough on YouTube, but I'm gonna do a review of The Last of Us on my YouTube channel. I may have that ready for this weekend. I've been working on it already little by little this week, just making sure I remember the notes of things I want to talk about. I hate doing big YouTube projects like this because I hate editing with a passion, guys. And I'm putting out like 10 plus videos on YouTube per week. My YouTube channel's so busy, and I still upload Dead by Daylight content every single day to YouTube. So I hate editing. Guys, you have no idea how much time I spend editing. I hate it so bad. I'm drained. I'm physically freaking drained with all the editing that I've been doing for YouTube. But I'm gonna make a Last of Us 2 review video. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but I'm making a video about it and what I feel about the game. I'll speak in code to her because she was here and she was like, "You're gonna get so mad." I was so mad. I was very mad at what they did at the halfway point. So you know what I'm talking about. I was very mad what they did at the halfway point. I did not like that, but I see why they did it. And I needed to, as I was playing, you obviously know I stayed away from all spoilers. I blocked all The Last of Us names and things from my feeds on Twitter and all that shit, even though I don't be on Twitter like that. I just use Twitter to let people know what's going on with my content. But I didn't, and nothing got spoiled for me. I know there was a couple people that came to the chat trying to spoil things, but shout out to my mods because they blocked those shits out quick. So I'm pretty sure that's what you were talking about. I was mad about that. I needed to take a break after. So thankfully, I wasn't playing for like another 2 days. And I immediately knew what was happening. I immediately figured out what was happening. I wasn't happy about it. And I don't think any true fan will be. But when you get to the end, even before I got to the end, I already knew what was happening, because it's just good storytelling. When I got to the end, I did my own review and analysis at the end of the series. You can go and watch that in the very last episode. If you really want to hear my full feelings, you can go to the last VOD and just watch the credit section or whatever, the ending. And you'll hear my on the spot review. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do an after effect review, like my after analysis. And it was a great game, man. It doesn't change it. It was a great game. It doesn't change it. It was a phenomenally told story. There's aspects of it you don't like, but it all makes sense. Everything made sense. It was a masterfully told story. I definitely think there were parts that dragged. Once again, I'm not spoiling anything, but it was a phenomenally told story. I think that a lot of people's problems were, okay, right? So speaking in layman's terms, once again, speaking in layman's terms, you guys know exactly what I'm saying, but speaking in layman's terms, right? You love characters based on what you've seen. And you were in love with characters walking into the game, right? You fell in love with characters walking into the game. And the problem for a lot of people is you were so in love with the character, you were blind to the actual picture. You were blind to what was actually happening. Do you know what I mean? Not like you per se, you in general, you, the players of the game, the player base, you, the player base. The player base was so blind to what was actually happening. They wanted to say, oh, I love this character, so this can't happen and this better not happen. But the truth is, you loved the character, so you're passionate about the character. But when you look at the full picture, and you take a step out of the fanboy or the fan's chair, which is what the game forces you to do with what they do in the game, they force you to see things from the other side. You kind of realize it's not who you think the heroes aren't the heroes. Who you think the heroes are, they aren't the heroes at all. You know what I mean? And it's masterful because it's forcing reality on people. That's great storytelling. Okay, best analogy, right? Best analogy. And this is kind of what the directors were doing. But the best analogy is, look at these celebrities that people idolize, right? The Harvey Weinsteins of the world, the Bill Cosbys. Look at these celebrities that people idolize. You know, what's the guy that died in Fast and Furious? Everybody freaking loves him. They worship him. In the fans' eyes, they can do no wrong, right? The dude from Fast and Furious, the guy that died in the motorcycle. Why can't I remember his name right now? Dope ass dude, Paul Walker. Paul Walker seems like an amazing guy. And I'm not trying to throw slander on the dead, but Paul Walker was like 28, 29 years old, and his last two girlfriends were 16. His last two girlfriends before he passed were publicly and well known under 18 years old. He was in his late 20s. Nobody talks about it because in their mind, Paul Walker's just amazing fucking guy. He can't do no wrong. They love the actor so much. He can't do no wrong. He's perfect. He's fine. He was sleeping with underage girls. Nobody talks about it. They don't want to believe it because he's perfect in their eyes. Until you actually step out and be like, wait a minute. Why did nobody say anything about this? Like, this is not okay. You don't see it. Bill Cosby, everyone knows that story. Harvey Weinstein, everyone knows that story, right? And then so many other people came out. But the point is, you have your mind made up about how perfect somebody is and how they deserve better and how they did all these great things. And it's not until you see the other side of it that you realize, wait a minute, they're not really that great. They had some pretty shitty ways too. And the game forces you to realize that. And the game basically puts the onus on you, the player, on who is right and who is wrong. And don't get me wrong, I'm still on the same team I started on. You know what I mean? I'm still on the same team that I started on. But by the end, I couldn't help but feel sympathy that I didn't think was possible for me to feel because I was angry about what they did. I was angry, just like most of the fans. I was angry, but I couldn't help but feel sympathy by the end because I saw it. It made sense. Everything made perfect sense. And in the end, You know, the flip side situation, I'm trying to speak in code here, but I know you're following me. In the end, the flip side situation had the sadder story. Like in the end, the other side of the story was way sadder than the side we were all crying about, right? I didn't cry because I'm a G. Y'all already know you ain't gonna catch me crying for no damn video games. Please stop. Stop trying to act like you're a toxic masculinity. And I'm just playing. But the point is, the other side of the story was a darker side, and it was much sadder than what we were all mad about. And the game forced you to see that. So in the end, in regards to the game itself, it's still a 10 out of 10. I can take off a half of a point for staggers in the story, and there were some moments that felt dragged out. There were definitely some moments that felt dragged out. But when you actually think about the genius of the storytelling there, it was pretty damn genius. Like it was pretty genius. If you and you can be everyone knows me. I love The Last of Us. Like to this, well, you probably can't. You know what? My background on my PS4 is still The Last of Us. Still, probably will be for a long time. It's gonna bounce back and forth between The Last of Us and Catherine until I get a PS5, and then it's gonna be something else. In hindsight, when I look back at the game and the creativity of the storyline and the direction, it was a very artistically told story, you know. And the funny thing is this, right? You think about Avengers, right? You think about Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame was kind of the same thing. No one complained about it, right? In Avengers Endgame, it was kind of the same thing. No one complained about it. Not the same, but storytelling wise, right? In the story, think about what happened, right? Technically speaking, the bad guy won, and a lot of people that the characters loved died. But when they portrayed it, they portrayed him in a sympathetic manner. Like, this guy wasn't really trying to be a bad guy. He was trying to do what he thought in his own mind was right. He had his own mind made up, and he was trying to do what he thought was right. Was it technically right? No. But he was just trying to do what he thought was right. And he was passionate. And the direction of Avengers, they kind of made you feel bad for Thanos. Because you kind of saw what Thanos had to sacrifice to do what he thought was right for the world. He was just trying to do what he thought was right. They showed a sympathetic side to him. They didn't portray him in this totalitarian, I'm going to rule the world, I'm better than you type of way. And that's what it came off at first, but they forced you to see that this guy really believed that he was helping the world. Like, he really believed he was helping everybody to the point where he killed his own daughter. And he cried for the first, you would never think you see the bad guy cry. He really thought he was helping the world to the point where he was willing to sacrifice his own daughter to do what he thought would help the world. But in the end, the fans were so mad, they had to bring them all back, right? They had to bring everybody back. I think this game perfectly set up a part 3. I think it perfectly set up a part 3. The way it ended, to me, perfectly set up a part 3. So, we haven't spoken about it, but that's my take on it. I think it was genius. I think it's a masterpiece. I think I completely get why it got 10 out of 10s across the board at so many places. I also understand why fans were mad, because I was also mad at that halfway point. That triggered me, but it made perfect sense. I do think there were some things they could have done better in that sequence, right? That entire sequence. I think that could have gone smoother, and I think there's some things they could have added to it. And I talk about that in the last episode if you ever wanted to go back and watch that. But I'm gonna make a review on the game. Obviously, this is a game I'm so passionate about, and it's so much fun talking about it to people that are passionate too. Yeah, I think it was masterful. Everything was masterful. I think a lot of the complaints were invalid, and I was a fan that was not happy at the halfway point either, but I immediately saw what they were doing, and then once you kind of see it, you kind of understand that, what's really happening here? Like, wait a minute, just think about everything that happens to this person, everything that happens to this person, both sides of the story, everything that happens to all the sides. It's like, who had it the worst? It's not who you think it is. It's not who you think it is. Who had it the worst? It's definitely not who you think it is. When you look back at it in hindsight, you say to yourself, like, look what people kind of became. I don't think the story was bad at all. I definitely don't think the story was bad at all. I think the story was great. This is the problem with a lot of people that review bombed the game. And this is why Metacritic had to change the way, things happened. I think the story was a 9.5 out of 10. Story alone, I don't think anybody could rightfully give the story less than a 9. Maybe 8.5. If anybody rightfully gave the story less than an 8.5, they're just in their feelings. They're in their feelings. They need to freaking take off their Huggies, right? They need to change their Pampers, put on a fresh pair, right? And change their poo-poo Pampers because they're just full of shit. If you're an adult or you're just a reasonable person and you play through and you analyze the story and take your feelings out of it, you analyze the story, it's a phenomenal story. It's just not what you wanted to see. It's not what you wanted to see. If you're a fan of the first game, right? Then you fell in love with the characters. But that's the point. This is not a fucking fairy tale. And that's what's wrong with half of the people that played the game. They walked into the game expecting a freaking fairy tale. Like, bro, what is wrong with you? Do you not realize the shit that has happened and the world that they're living in? What is wrong? Where is your rationale? Like, what is wrong with you? Do you know what I mean? Like, where's your rationale? Where in the hell did you think this was gonna be a happy story? What possessed you? What literally possessed you to think for 1 second this was gonna be a fairy tale? Wake up, sweetheart. Like, it's not a fairy tale. This is not Animal Crossing. The Last of Us is about survival. It is about hardcore survival. It is a world where survival of the fittest, nitty gritty. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You screw me, I screw you harder. It is a real survival story. Where in the hell did you expect it to be a fairy tale? Do you know what I mean? Think about all the things that happened in the first game. If you rationally, once again, this is all being rational. If you rationally think about everything that happened in the first game alone, screw the second game, everything that happened in the first game alone, what made you think it was going to be a happy story in part 2 after the events of part 1? In my very first episode, I literally said, I know what's going to happen in this game. Because how could nobody see that coming after playing the first game? It's just common sense. If you play the first game, you know what's coming. Look at the first game. Sarah, Sam and Henry. All the letters that you found of people trying to make it to their loved ones. The people that were in the sewers. Look at the first game. The cannibals. Like, look at the first game. What part of you thought it was going to be a happy story? And that's what's wrong with the fans. If they played the first game, they would have realized that the survivors of the first game were very fucking lucky. And in the world you're living in, you're not going to be that lucky for too long. In the world that you're living in, you are not going to be that lucky for that long. This is not the Resident Evil movies. Ellie is not Alice. All right? You don't have superpowers. You're not Captain America. You're not untouchable. You don't have superpowers. It's a realistic world, you know. It's a realistic survival situation. And if anybody with a brain played the game and played the first game, you would have known at some point your luck's gonna run out. You can't be that lucky for that long. You look at everyone you came across. Look at literally Joel's girlfriend, Tess, Sarah, Sam, Henry. I mean, go through the whole... At some point, your luck's gonna run out. So, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, the people playing the game saying the story sucked. They're saying the story sucked because they didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get the happy ending they wanted, but that's not... What do you think this is? Like, that was never on the table. This is not the type of movie that ends in a fairy tale happy ending. It's not supposed to be. It's not realistic for for the type of world that they live in. That's not realistic, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's not realistic. Even as you played the game, right? You played the game and you read the letters, you know, the artifacts you pick up throughout the game. If you played the game and you read the letters, look at how many letters people were writing to their loved ones about, hey, I'm stuck in this house. So, you know, some clickers or runners came my way and I barricaded myself in this room and I can't leave. I'm stuck. And people just starved to death in their room trying to survive. Look at the parents that their kids told their kids, hey, go join the Scars, you know, and obviously this is not a spoiler really, but, you know, go join the Scars because I'm gonna die and I can't do nothing for you, and maybe they can give you a better life. Maybe there's people there that can help you survive and take care of you. You know, I can't provide for you guys. I can't find you food. I can't scavenge for you. I'm sick and I'm your father. I think you guys would be better off going off to this camp and maybe, you know, learning through them and being able to take care of yourselves. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna die. Like, this is the reality of that world that they're living in. They're not living in a fairy tale. But a lot of people played the game expecting a fairy tale ending. And I just ask myself, what have you been playing? What game have you been playing? Have you not been paying attention? Did you think that at some point what happened to Sarah, to Tess, to Sam, to Henry, to all these people in the first game wasn't going to happen to characters that you love or know or are familiar with? Did you think for 1 second that they were immune to everything that's happening around them? They're going to be invincible. Nothing can happen to them. Right? Like, what world do you live in? What world were you living in? I don't understand people. What world do you live in? I see what you're saying about the relationship and the father-daughter relationship, but I think a lot of people, I mean, absolutely be invested. Like there's nothing wrong with being invested. That's passion. And I felt it too. Like, I didn't want it to happen, but I knew it was gonna. I didn't want it to happen. I knew it was gonna though. I didn't want it. I just knew it was gonna happen. It had to happen. It had to happen. It literally had to happen. The people that review bombed the game because they were mad about that are childish. It's stupid. It's just dumb. It's dumb. Like, there were people that didn't even finish the game and were already bombing the reviews. The game, the first, 3 days of the game got more reviews than the entire first game did in 7 years. 3 days. The Last of Us 1, arguably the top game of the 2010s, right? #1 game of the 2010s, highest rated game of the 2010s, highest game of the entire decade, right? It got X amount of reviews on Metacritic. In the first 3 days, part 2 got more than the first one. Did in 7 years. First 3 days, it got more reviews than the first game, which is the highest rated game of the entire decade. That's 10 years. Highest game of the decade of the decade. 3 days got more reviews than that. It's fucking insane. It's literally insane. But that's how much people review bombed the game. And it was childish. You review bombed a game because you didn't get what you wanted for certain characters. You didn't. When have you seen anybody go to the movies and watch a movie and review bomb the movie because what they wanted to happen didn't happen? When have you ever seen that happen? When have you ever seen someone go to the movies and review bomb Avengers Infinity Wars because Spider-Man dies at the end? Did anybody review bomb the movie? They killed baby Spider-Man and Iron Man's arms. Did anybody review bomb the movie? Yet nobody wanted that to happen. Everyone was sad as shit. You didn't get what you wanted, and he didn't deserve it, right? Nobody review bombed it. I'm calling the people that review bombed the game because they weren't happy about that big thing. I'm calling them childish. They're the ones that are childish. Who does that? It's just childishness. You review bombed a piece of work because you didn't get what you wanted. Why don't you sit back and analyze the entire piece of work and then realize how that makes sense? Anyone that walked into the game not knowing that that was going to happen wasn't paying attention, and it doesn't have a grasp of reality. Like, that's the best way I can put it. This is the nicest way I can put it. Anyone that walked into the game not expecting that to happen has a poor grasp of the reality that they're living in. Like, they have a poor grasp of it. What made you think he was gonna survive that? What would make anyone think he was gonna survive that? But she had a really strong point when she basically said, people waited 7 years for that, and they don't like the whole father-daughter dynamic of the game. See, this is a big thing I talk about in my review that I haven't put out yet. I'm gonna see if I can get it up maybe this weekend, maybe on Sunday, who knows. I just need to find the time. But this is a big thing, right? This is what I mean about it's creative genius. It doesn't look like it because a lot of people didn't get it, but it's creative genius. And a lot of people didn't understand why Ellie was so mad. They didn't get it. A lot of people didn't get it, right? And I immediately got it. But a lot of people played the game, let me rephrase that. A lot of people played the second half of the game with so much anger in them, and rightfully so, because I know I was unhappy about that situation at first too. But a lot of people played that with such a, I just want this to be over and done with. And I get it, because I felt that too. I want this to be over and done with. Like, that they stopped paying attention to everything that was happening and why they're trying to show you what they're trying to show you. A lot of people don't even understand why Ellie was so mad. That's why she was so mad. People don't understand why she went through the lengths that she went through in the whole story. But that's the reason why. It's because she was so damn childish for so long, and she held on to this gigantic grudge, being unappreciative because she felt like somebody took something away from her. And it wasn't until the end, when she was finally about to get what she wanted, that she realized it's not their fault. It's mine. A lot of people didn't get that. A lot of people asked themselves, why did she do what she did at the end? It's because she finally realized it's not their fault. It's mine. I held on to so much anger for so long that when I was finally ready to move on and forgive, that opportunity got taken away from me. And I never got the chance to. And that is what drove her through the entire freaking game. That is what drove her anger. People didn't get that. So many people played the game and completely missed that. They don't know why she let go. They don't know why she did what she did. That was why. They still don't understand that. They still don't understand that she was fighting her own internal demons the whole time. She was so childish, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to get into the details or whatever, just in case anybody, whatever. She was so childish, and she finally came to her senses and was like, I'm willing to work on this. I'm willing to make this better because I realize how stupid I've been, but I'm willing to try. And as soon as she finally came to her senses, it got taken away from her. And it was no longer an option. And that's what drove the anger that took her through the whole story. The fact that she couldn't blame anybody else but herself because she wasted all this time being mad. And now she's really mad because she can't get that back. And if only she would have used that time better, it wouldn't have hurt as bad as it did. It hurt as bad as it did because obviously father-daughter, but it hurt that bad because of what she did and how she was. And the fact that when she finally came to her senses, she never got to fix it. She never got to fix it. That's why she did what she did at the end. She realized, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at myself. A lot of people didn't get that. She finally got what she wanted, right? People were like, oh my God. And then I got to the end and then she does what she does. This is bullshit. Why would she do? That's not what she really wanted. What she really wanted was to get back the time she lost. And she's never gonna get that chance. But she finally realized she has to let go of all that anger that she has. She has to let go of the anger because it's not this person that really made it as bad as it was. It was her. And that's why I said, that's why a lot of people don't get it. Objectively, they sympathize with the characters that they love and grew to love from one to the next. But in the end, when you take a step out, and that's why it's a masterful story. One person became the very person she missed, and she was ready to take that away from the person that's becoming her. Like, it was, guys, you have to literally analyze the story. Anybody actually analyzes a story, you'll see how it makes so much sense. There's a reason why critics get paid to do what they do. They're not always right, but they're mostly not wrong. There's a reason why they get paid to do what they do. And I can guarantee you, nobody paid all those critics to give the first game over 100 Game of the Year awards, and nobody paid these critics to give the game an average 10 out of 10 score. It was a masterful story. It's not the story you wanted to see, but when you sit back and analyze a story, you say, this makes perfect sense. It makes sense. And it sets the tone for what should be an interesting finale of a part 3. They left a lot of loose ends in the game. They left a lot of loose ends. In finishing the game, you finish the game with a sense of solace But in the end, they left enough loose ends for you to say, part 3 could be really freaking good. And this is literally Avengers Infinity War, right? Think about it. This is Avengers Infinity War. If you look at the chapters of what this is, the next game would be Endgame. So that's the best comparison I can give it. If this is the Avengers Infinity War, the next game should be Endgame. It should be the epic finale that ties all the loose ends together and rights all the quote-unquote wrongs. Should be. Will it? I don't know. But the point is, they left enough loose ends to keep you intrigued, to keep people are still talking about this game, right? Like this is a groundbreaking game. Very controversial, very divisive for all the right reasons. But in the end, they say that's the mark of a good storyteller. When it's over and done with, you can't stop talking about it. That's what they say. That is the mark of a good storyteller. Even when it's over and done with, you just can't stop talking about it. They were genius. They were genius, and by no means was it perfect. Like I said, there's a lot of places I felt like, oh, this is dragging. Like they could have done this better. They could have showed me this more of this. But in the end, right? In the end, when you look at the totality of the work, it was genius. It was genius. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. But a game doesn't have to be perfect to be a 10 out of 10. Perfect doesn't exist. Like a game doesn't have to be perfect to be a 10 out of 10. I've always believed that. You don't have to be perfect to be a 10 out of 10. Perfection doesn't exist. You know what I mean? It doesn't exist. Part 2 is a revenge tale. It's a revenge tale. And it was driven by an internal struggle as much as an external struggle. But I think it was a really powerful moment when you realize what was going on. It wasn't a fairy tale, and it wasn't a happy ending, and it wasn't a happy story. But I think for this story, like the game was marketed as a revenge tale from day one, right? I know they did swerve us with the trailers, right? Bastards, genius. They did the same thing in Avengers, right? They made us think the Hulk was going to be this big deal, right? The Hulk got his ass beat. He was nowhere. He wasn't even in the damn movie. He literally was in the movie saying no, right? Like that's, guys, you have to do that. Like you don't give away what's going to happen in the trailers, right? You have to do that. So they did swerve us. They definitely did swerve us with the trailers that they released. But yet you have to do that. Can't be mad about it. The game was marketed as a revenge tale from the very start. If you're a realist, you ask yourself, right? And I said it. I literally said it in my playthrough. What the hell could Ellie be so damn mad about? You learn more. You think it's this. It's on the surface. And then you get to the end and you say, oh, I get it now. I get it now. Those flashback scenes were key, man. Those flashback scenes, they were key. They showed a lot more than people were taking in. And like I said, I do not blame people for being mad about, the story or not, whatever. I blame the people that review bombed the game because they didn't get the story they wanted to be told. It was a revenge tale. It was marketed as a revenge tale. What made you think anybody was immune? You know what I mean? What made you think anybody was immune? And if you really played the game and you watched what happened, you can't even, I don't want to say you can't even be mad, but you really can't even be mad, right? Like, if you think about something big happened in the game twice. Something big in the game happened twice, which made it very clear who you think is the villain is not the fucking villain. And that was my eye opener. Cause me and Deviant, I was like, Deviant, this is driving me crazy. Why did they do this? Why would you do that? What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I've been in these situations before. I've seen this in real life. Why would you ever do that? Nobody would ever in their right mind do that. And it drove me crazy. And then I got to the end and I was like the light bulb went off and I was like, I get it. I freaking get it. A lot of people, and this is the funny part, right? This is why I have to do this review. A lot of people, and y'all already know I'm Team Ellie, but a lot of people that I talked to that were also diehards of the game were bigger fans of Abby. When the game was going on, they hated Abby with a passion. They were mad as hell. They finished the game, still hate Abby. Days after finishing the game, they're on Team Abby. I'm not there yet, but I definitely do see that. So I find that very interesting. I find that extremely interesting. A lot of people who were fanatics of the game liked Abby more by the end of the game. I'm not there. I'm not there. Y'all already know, like, I am not there. But I find it so interesting. If, like, as I'm editing my playthrough for YouTube, I'm watching the story over and that's what the first game was so good at. There was so much character development in the first game. The character development in the first game was so phenomenal that people didn't pay attention to how good it is in the second game. It's just not where you think it's going, right? Anyone that watched me play the first game, right? Case in point. Anyone that watched me play the first game knows I could not stand that little shit-stained bratty ass Ellie. Oh my God, I hated her. I hated her so bad. She was always talking shit. She was mean. She was rude. She had no manners. I hated her with a passion. If anybody saw me play the first game, you would know how much I couldn't stand Ellie. Danny actually started playing The Last of Us 1. And he was like, I don't like this little girl. She's so mean to me. And I remember telling Danny, I was there too, bro. You gotta give it time. You gotta give it time. She'll warm up to you. You just gotta give it time. I remember telling Danny the same thing because that's how I felt. I'm like, yo, this little girl has no freaking manners, yo. And then events happened at the university and the winter season started. And that changed everything. That changed everything for me. And I was like, wow, you know. First, I'm not gonna lie, I felt some kind of way about the attic scene. The attic scene was powerful. I was like, damn. Damn. Like I'm talking about the first game. The attic scene, I felt something there. I felt that. And then the university part, the winter, everything changed. The character development was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. But nobody was an angel. You know what I'm saying? The characters were well developed. And in this game, the characters were also well developed. Just not where you thought they were going. You know what I'm saying? There was a steep development. You know what I mean? Like, look at Nora. Look at Nora. That was brutal, man. You know? That was brutal. The Nora scene was pretty tough. That was pretty tough. That was borderline, you're no better than them. So, once again, it just goes back to the point of, if people are actually paying attention, they would have seen what was happening. And they would have understood the development. And it doesn't matter how much you love a character. If you take a step back and you step outside of that, you start to say, you know, you start to be more realistic, and you start to say, this person may not be what I thought they were. This person may not be who I thought they were and what I thought they were. It's hard to watch, it's hard to play the game and analyze it and not appreciate the value of it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. It's hard to not objectively appreciate the value of the story. It was very good storytelling. It's not the story you wanted to hear, but it's the story that needed to happen. I don't know if there's a better way to say it than that. It's not the story you wanted, but it's the story that needed to happen. There aren't many other ways the story could have gone to be a worthy sequel. It wouldn't be worthy. If you think of the best outcomes for the best characters, it wouldn't have been a better story, is the point. There weren't many other directions the story could have gone to make it a better story. I think the direction of the story is where it needed to go. I'm not happy with it. You feel me? I'm not happy with it. That's where it got. That's where it went. But I understand why it went there, and it makes perfect sense why it went where it went. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that I think, oh, I love that this happened. I love the story. It's not that. It's a great fucking story. Not every story is a fairy tale, though. Some stories are tragedies, but they're still fucking great. It's a great story. There's a lot you can learn from this game. The first game teaches you a lot and makes you fall in love with the characters. The second game says be careful who you fucking fall in love with. You'd never always know everybody and who they really are. That's what the second game starts to say. You'd never fucking know who you're falling in love with. And when you start seeing people expose their true colors, believe them. Now, the third story should be the redemption arc. If you ask, and this is why I said the second story is so masterful. When you actually think about it, it's masterful. Because now it has set the tone for the third story, which is the redemption arc. It's the end game. The third story should be the Avengers Endgame. It's not going to be a fairy tale once again, but this is where it should all come together. And I hope they don't ever do part 4s, 5s, and 6s and they retire it. They are working on a brand new series for PS5. They recently announced it. Naughty Dog is working for a new series, not Uncharted and not The Last of Us. But that third story, I'm hoping it comes 3-4 years down the line. I hope we don't wait 7. I'm hoping 3-4 years down the line, and they've already been brainstorming how to tie up all these loose ends. This third story should be a redemption arc. And this is why it's such a good story. Because that's just good storytelling, right? It shows you character development, the rise, right? But now it shows you the fall. It introduces to you an event, something along the line that changes the progression of a character's development, changes it, right? We've saw that, right? And now the third story should come in and redeem regression and basically foster future growth. So the next story should be an interesting redemption arc. And now there's more characters to be invested in, more characters. And I would be very excited for a part 3 because I understand that they have set the tone to give us the payoff. Everybody's waiting for the payoff. They wanted it in one arc, but that's not good storytelling, right? Like that's not, everything can't end on that perfect note. It's kind of like Inception, right? You want to believe what you want to believe, but you don't know where it's going to go. There's a lot of people that have a theory that one of the people at the end died on the boat. And I think that would be a horrible freaking ending if that really did happen. But there's a lot of people that say that somebody died on that boat at the very end. A lot of people seem to think that. That's one of the theories going around. There's so many theories. There's one of the theories going around. I don't believe it, but I don't know, man. It is what it is. I think it's a great story. I definitely think it's a masterpiece. I think they could have done a lot of things better. I think when people hear the word masterpiece, they think, oh, it's damn near perfect. Nothing, no. There was a lot that they could have changed that I think could have softened a lot of things. But the point is, if they did, I ask myself that selfishly, right? If they changed some of the things I didn't like, would it have hit me as hard? Right? That's what I tell myself, because I'm not selfish. I tell myself some of the things I didn't like, if they would have changed it, would it have hit me as hard? Would I have felt as much emotion from it? Because that's the point. This game made you feel so many freaking emotions. That is great freaking storytelling. When is the last time you played a game that got you that freaking mad? When is the last time you played a game that made you cry, made you happy, and then made you freaking pissed off through the floor, all within an hour and a half, 2 hours? That is good storytelling. So where I want to selfishly say, well, I think they could have did this better, or they could have switched this part around and eased us into this part because I really hated this part. That's me selfishly saying I hated that part, and I wanted the blow of realizing that I'm going to be stuck doing that for a very long time. I wanted that to be softer. But the point is, once again, artistically, step outside of the fan view, look at it from a critic's perspective, from an analysis perspective. Would it have hit you as hard if they changed it? The answer is no. It was done in a way where you were shocked, mad, frustrated, and livid that you were forced to do the things you were forced to do. And that is actually good storytelling. I know it sounds shitty, guys. I know it sounds shitty, but it's true. That's the power of good storytelling. They made you feel emotions you couldn't control and you didn't want to feel, but you felt it. They made you feel things. You know what I'm trying to say? When's the last time a video game made you feel things like that? And from the museum, right? The birthday museum tour situation, right? I think that episode went up today. If it didn't go up today, it goes up on Saturday, right? But the museum situation, think about what that made you feel inside, right? Obviously, the cabin situation made you feel some things. But then think about what you felt after the big rendezvous at the theater. The game made you feel things. When's the last time one game made you feel so many different things in one freaking playthrough? You know what I'm trying to say? That's what, when I say it was masterful and it was a masterpiece, and it was phenomenal storytelling, that is what I mean by it. That is the objective definition of great storytelling. They made you feel, and they created all these emotions. And some were good, some were bad, and people deal with emotions differently, right? Some people deal with emotions differently. Oh, you made me cry, I hate you. Or, oh, this makes me so happy, blah, 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 blah. Right? Everyone deals with emotions differently, but the point is the game made you feel so many emotions. That's what makes it a great game. That it takes you through an emotional journey until you finally are able to step away from the emotions of being in the moment for the 30 hours or so playthrough. And then you finally step away and you say to yourself, you think about it, right? And you say to yourself, like, wow, I never really thought about this, but holy shit. It's a great story. Like, holy shit. I didn't want any of these things to happen, But now I get it. I appreciate it. I get it now. I was supposed to be mad. I was supposed to be shocked. I was supposed to be livid. I was supposed to be annoyed. I was supposed to be overjoyed. I was supposed to feel those things. The game made me feel things I wasn't trying to feel. I was so caught up in the game and I was so mad. I hate it. I'm so mad. When's the last time a game made you feel that? Right? Without cheating you or cheesing you, like, as you know, the AI cheeses you and you can't beat a certain part. You're so mad about it. When's the last time a game made you feel that mad? That is powerful storytelling because you were invested. They made you get so invested. You felt these things and you ask yourself, like, holy shit, I get it now. Once you're done and you can take yourself out of the emotions of being in the moment, you sit back and you're like, holy shit, like, these fuckers. You know what I mean? You almost feel played in a sense, like, these fuckers, like, they fiddled with my emotions like a damn puppet string. That's masterful storytelling. That is great storytelling. Because even as mad as we got playing that game, we still had to play it through the end. We still needed to know what happens. We still needed to experience it. We still wanted more. That is masterful storytelling. And nobody wants to see these things or look at it from a bigger picture. But that's the bigger picture. No matter how mad and annoyed we were, we still kept playing. We still wanted more. And we still needed to see it through the end. And we still want a part 3. It was a masterpiece for a lot of the wrong reasons, but in the end, from an artistic point of view and from a storytelling point of view, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. We don't want to admit it, but it was phenomenal. They made us feel more than probably any game we've played all year. When's the last time you played a game that made you feel so much in such a short amount of time, right? Like, we were puppets on strings and they were able to do that. And we didn't even know what was happening. So when I want to criticize the game, this is my point. When I want to criticize the game and say, they could have done this better, I don't like the way this happened, I don't like the way that happened, that's me being selfish to what I wanted, right? That's me being selfish to what I wanted to see, how I wanted to deal with certain things, how I wanted to go into certain parts. The fact that I didn't get what I wanted made me feel more in the moment. More anger, more joy, more disappointment. It made me react more genuinely, more realistically. And that's why it was genius. That's kind of why they did those things the way they did them. That's masterful storytelling. They don't ease you into it like Life is Strange, where you know what's going to happen at the end. You know what direction the game is going the entire stinking time. It's not Life is Strange where you see what's coming and you're making up your mind little by little till you get to the end. The Last of Us did better storytelling. It's you don't see it coming, you react and you feel what you feel. When's the last time you played a game that made you feel so much? That's why it was so great. Not everybody will see it from that point of view, but once again, from an objective point of view, when you take your emotions out of it and you look at it objectively, you ask yourself like, yo, this game made me feel so many things that no other game has made me feel in such a long time. The joy, the anger, the disappointment, the confusion, the intrigue, the suspense. It made you feel so many things. That's good storytelling. Anyone will tell you that knows, you know, any type of cinematography, any type of direction, any type of good movie, you know, script writing, anything like that. They'll always tell you that, you know, the power to make someone feel emotions, and especially unexpectedly or uncontrollably almost. That's great storytelling. It's great storytelling. So, and there you have it, guys. That is what I thought about The Last of Us 2. It is my honest opinion about the game. I love the game. I'm very passionate about The Last of Us series, but I also really did enjoy The Last of Us 2. You know, once I was able to take myself out of the equation and, you know, put my emotions to the side of what I was feeling in the moment, you know, I really grew to appreciate the game so much more for what it was. And I think the game, once again, set a phenomenal tone for what should be an amazing The Last of Us 3. So, if you guys are new here and you guys are not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, be sure to do that, because I have a theory on where they're going to go with The Last of Us 3. As I was editing my series, a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, wait a minute. Once again, there were so many loose ends, so many things people weren't paying attention to, and so many loose ends. I have a theory. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be right on it, but if I am, yo, that would be crazy. So anyways, the next video is going to be about my theory. Guys, once again, if you guys are new to my channel and you are not subbed yet, I am currently about 350 subs from getting partnered on YouTube. That is a goal of mine. That is a dream of mine. And any and all help would be greatly appreciated. In addition to that, I want to thank everyone that has been leaving likes and comments on my videos. I love reading your comments and seeing what your perspectives were, what you guys were thinking about, and you know, just the different viewpoints that the community has as a whole. I really do appreciate that. So guys, keep the comments coming. I really enjoy them, and you guys have really opened up my eyes to a lot of things, including other games that you guys would like me to play next. So keep those comments coming, guys. I really appreciate that. Once again, if you are new, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Give your boy some love with the like, and I'll see you guys in the next The Last of Us video. It's your boy MaineMania. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.